Hello students, welcome back to a new mathematics program for grade 9. Today we are going to talk about the chapter probability. This video is the first part of a series of 2 videos based on this chapter. In fact, probability is a very interesting chapter because we all use probability in our daily life. After watching this video, you will understand how you use probability in your daily life. But first of all, let's see what are the objectives of this first part. Students, in this lesson, you will learn about probability in real-life situations, key terms related to probability, the definition of probability, and finally, you're going to learn how to calculate probability in simple problems. So students, let's have a look about how we use probability in our daily life. Dear students, I'm sure that every morning before going to school, you have a look at the sky. Then you try to guess whether it will rain. If you think there is a possibility that it will rain, of course you will take the necessary precautions. As such, you must have heard such statement, there is an 80% chance it will rain tomorrow. Or it is less likely it will rain tomorrow. And during rainy period, you must have heard about it is certain that we are going to have torrential rain alert tomorrow. In fact, these statements are probabilities based on weather forecast. Let's have a look at some other situations where we use probability in the real life. Friends, if you have a fruit tree growing in your yard, you will always think about the possibility for you to pick fruit from that tree. Similarly, planters use probability to calculate their harvest. Friends, if you're watching a final where your team is playing against another team, you will always think about the chance for your team to win the cup. Any person playing lotteries will think about his or her chance of winning jackpots. So you have seen that there are various situations in our daily life where we use probability. Now, think about other situations where you yourself, you use probability in your daily life. Now, let's see what is probability. In simple terms, probability means chance. In mathematical terms, we say that probability measures how likely something is going to happen. If something has a low probability, it is less likely to happen. If it has a high probability, we say that it is more likely to happen. And if the probability is 50%, we say that it is equally likely to happen. So probability means chance. In fact, probability is the measure of the likelihood something will occur. Now, let's have a look at some key terms related to probability, which will help you to better understand this chapter. Now, to understand these key terms, we are going to consider the experiment of rolling a die. I'm sure that you must have seen or used a die. We usually use a die to play games such as Ludo, Snake and Ladders, and so on. So, when rolling a die, we are going to call this as an experiment or a trial. And when we roll a die, the possible numbers that can be obtained are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. An outcome is the result obtained from an experiment or a trial. So in this experiment of rolling a die, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are the outcomes. So when we roll a die, the outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, if we consider these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as a set, this set will be called the sample space. So, when we roll a die, the sample space is the set of outcomes that are possible to happen. A sample space is the set of all possible outcomes. You need to remember this statement. The sample space is usually denoted by the capital letter S. We have seen that in the experiment of rolling a die, the sample space is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, if you toss a fair coin, what will be the sample space? Think about it. Yes, of course. The sample space will consist of a head or a tail. So S equal to head or tail. Now let's see what is the meaning of an event. The set or collection of desired outcomes is called an event. An event is usually denoted by a capital letter. If we take the example when we were rolling a die as the experiment or trial, we can name an event as getting a square number when a die is rolled. So we write it as event A represent getting a square number when a die is rolled. Now let's see how to calculate probability. The probability of an event to occur is the number of favorable outcomes to the event divided by the total number of possible outcomes. So if we consider the event to be A, we write P bracket A to denote the probability that A will occur. And the above statement can be written as a formula. So probability of event A to occur, we write it as P bracket A. It is equal to number of favorable outcomes for the event A divided by the total possible outcomes. Now, let's have a look at an example where we are going to use the formula for probability. An unbiased die is rolled. Find the probability of obtaining first part a 6, second part an even number, third part a 9, and fourth part a positive integer less than 7. We have just seen that when rolling a die, the sample space will consist of number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the number of possible outcomes is 6. For the first part, where we need to obtain the probability of having a 6, our event will be obtaining a 6. So number of favorable outcomes to the event is 1, since we have only one number 6 in the sample space. Now, if we use the formula to calculate probability of obtaining a 6, we are going to take number of favorable outcomes to the event divided by total number of outcomes. We have just seen that the number of favorable outcome is 1 and the total number of outcome is 6, so we will obtain 1 over 6 as the answer. The second part, the event is obtaining an even number. So first we're going to look for the even numbers in the sample space. The even numbers are 2, 4, and 6. So the number of favorable outcomes to the event is 3. Using the formula to calculate probability of having an even number, we're going to use number of favorable outcomes divided by total number of outcomes. Here, the number of favorable outcomes is 3, and the total number of outcomes is 6. So we have 3 over 6. Of course, we need to write 3 over 6 in its lowest term, which is equal to 1 over 2. The third part, the event is obtaining number 9. Now, the number of favorable outcomes to the event is 0, since we do not have number 9 in the sample space. So, probability of obtaining 9 is 0 over 6, because number of favorable outcomes is 0, and total number of outcomes is 6. 0 over 6 equal to 0. We can conclude that the probability of an event which is not in the sample space is always 0. This is a very important statement to understand. Whenever we are calculating the probability of an event which is not in the sample space, the probability is always 0. Fourth part, the event is obtaining an integer less than 7. The number of favorable outcomes to the event is 6 because in the sample space, all the integers which are less than 7 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the probability of obtaining an integer less than 7 is 6 over 6, which is equal to 1. Here again, we're going to conclude that the probability of an event that is certain to occur is always 1. Whenever we are calculating the probability of an event which is same as the sample space, the probability will always be 1. Students, I'm now giving you some exercises for practice. Number 1, a die is thrown once. Calculate the probability of obtaining, first part, a prime number, second part, number 7, third part, a number less than 5, fourth part, a factor of 6. Number 2, a fair coin is tossed once. Find the probability of obtaining a head. Number 3, a card is drawn from a set of cards numbered 1 to 36. Find the probability that the number on the card is, first part, an odd number, second part, a square number, third part, a number which is greater than 30, fourth part, a number which is divisible by 5, and fifth part, a multiple of 6. Number 4, a letter is chosen from the word probability. Find the probability of obtaining, first part, the letter B, second part, the letter Z, third part, a vowel. So students, in this video, you learned about probability in the real life, some key terms related to probability, the definition of probability, and then you have learned how to calculate probability in simple problems. The steps to calculate probability are as follows. First, you find the total number of possible outcomes from the sample space. Then you find the number of favorable outcomes to the required event. Let's say the event is A. So we use the formula probability of event A to occur equal to number of favorable outcomes to the event A divided by total number of possible outcomes. Dear students, if you want to have some more information on this chapter, here are some links. So students, this program ends here. Remember that this video is the first part of a series of 2 videos based on this chapter, that is probability. So see you soon for the second part. Till then, goodbye.